What is up, my ducks and drakes? Welcome to the Crowded Lake, and today we are reading A Lesson in Practicality, Chapter 20 by ResidentAnchor on AO3. If you'd like to support their work in general or the fic itself, do so with the links in the description below. With that, here is Chapter 20, A Little Faith. Roman watched Logan sat on his bed, staring at the wall whilst lost in thought. "You're going." Logan seemed to glare at the wall as if it had been the one to speak. "I'm telling you, Roman, it's best if I just stay here." "You asked him out, and you're not going to stand him up." Logan shut his eyes and sighed, wishing his late-night confidence would return to him once more. He said, "Oh, Roman." "He apologized," Roman huffed. "You probably caught him off guard." He realized it and asked, "I was willing to let it go." "You were willing to ignore your feelings in a moment of panic." Logan looked over at Roman and stared him down. "Please, tell me, if you had asked out Virgil and his first response was, 'I never thought of you in that way before,' would you not panic?" Roman flinched and sighed, recalling the words he had heard in the kitchen the night before. He remembered hushing Virgil and listening in. He remembered the crushing guilt, knowing he was the one who encouraged Logan every step of the way to admit his feelings. Poor Patton was no better. He seemed distressed, unsure in how to handle the situation. He had agreed to go, and Roman knew exactly what Logan was thinking. "He's not going out with you out of pity." "Patton wishes to make everyone happy. He would undoubtedly go on a date with me just to appease me." "All the more reason to go. Imagine how terrible he would feel if you backed out now. Your friends will never be the same." Roman stepped closer and kneeled down, meeting Logan at eye level. "If you go, maybe he will start to see you in a new light. If it doesn't work out, your friendship can still pass this. But it can't if you stand him up." Logan covered his face with his hands and groaned loudly, pushing his glasses out of his eyes. "This is why I wanted to ignore all these feelings." "I'm sorry. I really am. I should have let you deal with this your way. But this is me helping you now. Just be yourself, okay?" It took much more coaxing, but eventually Roman got Logan into a nice button-up shirt and tie, different from the usual selection of clothes, and to get him ready for their date. Roman had to leave to go to work himself, but Logan could hear his phone occasionally go off as Roman's messages of encouragement poured through. Logan chose to ignore them, silencing his phone and only checking to make sure it was Roman and not anyone else. The sun started to set, and Logan made his way across the apartment. The weird thing about taking a roommate out to dinner was the lack of travel time to pick them up. He watched the clock tick by and waited until the exact time he said he would be ready before giving 3 firm knocks on Patton's door. He heard shuffling and a flash of light before the door opened, revealing Patton with a smile on his face. "Logan, right on time." Logan took a deep breath and shut his eyes. "Patton, I realize this is a bit awkward, so I would like to extend this offer to you. If you so wish, we could both turn around and call the whole thing off. I am okay with pretending our discussion last night never happened." Logan waited a bit before carefully opening his eyes. He jumped, surprised that the thing he saw wasn't a relieved Patton. It was an angry one. "Logan?" Patton put his hands on his hips. "You were very brave to admit your feelings and ask me out." "I am a bit confused as to why you are angered right now." "Don't you think I took it seriously? I agreed to go because I wanted to." Patton's angered face fell a bit. "I know I handled it badly. I'm sorry. I was tired, but that is no excuse for saying I hadn't thought of you like that before." Logan glanced away in shame. "Yes, I recall." "That doesn't mean I couldn't." Logan spared a glance up at Patton. I like you. I really do. That's why I want to give this a shot. Give us a shot. Logan went to speak, but fell at a loss for words. He adjusted his tie nervously and smirked a bit. He wouldn't admit how much his heart raced at the idea of us with Patton. Right. I'm sorry, Patton. I suppose I may have had some nervousness about all of this. I'm eager to go if you are still willing. Oh, hello. Patton reached forward and pulled Logan into a hug. Of course I do. Right, yes. Well, Logan ignored how red his face felt. I suppose we should be going then. He pulled away slowly and looked up. I recall you telling me about this place Virgil took you to once and you've wanted to return to. He gave me the address and told me what you had ordered previous, just in case you did not remember. A place with Virgil? Patton blinked back in surprise. That was weeks ago. You remember me telling you that? Aw, Logan. Logan placed his hands up in defense. Perhaps we should go before you continue with the affections. I do advise you bring a jacket just in case you get a bit cold later on. Patton giggled and nodded eagerly. Virgil had returned home, eager to lay down and pretend the world didn't exist. It was just one of those days that no matter what happened, nothing went right. Customers constantly giving silly requests, things going missing, children knocking over a display he had just set up. Nothing had gone right with the day, but Virgil stuck through to the end. He was irritated at every little thing at the moment, so Roman singing loudly with the door open was the last thing he needed as he returned home. Roman. His roommate danced into the doorway, hairbrush being his current stand-in for a microphone. Roman stopped once he looked over at Virgil and grimaced. Whoa, bad day? Virgil answered with a sneer and said nothing else. Okay then, I'll turn the music down. Virgil stopped and looked over, confused. Thanks. No problem. Logan and Patton are still out. Want leftovers, or shall I make something really quick? They're still out? Virgil looked over at the time. When did you get back? Like an hour ago. And they're still not back? Must be going well, then. Virgil popped himself onto the couch with a loud sigh of relief. He laid back and took over the entire thing, stretched out completely. Yes, it's about time, too. Roman walked out after turning his music off completely. I was getting tired of Logan coming to me for advice. Roman took Logan's chair and sat down. Virgil snorted out a quick laugh. He went to you for romantic advice? That a problem? You rather Logan get advice from you? Virgil let out a hum in response. Good point. Virgil closed his eyes and enjoyed the silence for a bit, surprised Roman was being incredibly patient and quiet. He peeked an eye open and looked over, catching Roman watching him and quickly turning away. If you're tired, you can go to your room. Nah, too tired. Don't want to move. He heard Roman shift and get up, the noise increasing in volume. Virgil peeked again, only to see Roman smirking all too eagerly as his hands up as he approached. Roman, no. Virgil kicked his feet and pushed himself up, sitting on the couch. Don't you dare, Princey. Aw, Virgil, I want to help. Roman, I swear if you touch me, I will make you pay. Oh, yeah? Roman stood over Virgil. How? I'll freeze time and draw over your face. Roman grabbed his shirt and gasped, dramatically stumbling backward. You wouldn't dare! Virgil sat up more and started to smirk. Try me. About an hour later, the door opened up to the apartment. Patton froze at the mess before him. Blankets and pillows were thrown across the table and floor as if a fight had broken out. Virgil was sitting on the back of the couch, glaring down at Roman, who had tousled hair and a black curly mustache drawn on his face. Virgil was holding out the marker as if it were a weapon, pointing it at Roman with a smile as Roman glared back. Both turned to the door and showed Patton and Logan watching on.
Well, looks like we weren't the only ones who had fun,
Patton exclaimed, walking into the room. Logan closed the door and followed him in.
What did we miss?
Virgil drew on my face. My face, Patton. Look at this travesty. I warned you not to touch me. Roman turned and glared back at Virgil on the back of the couch.
I was trying to help.
I gave you fair warning. Patton giggled and turned towards Logan with a bright smile.
Thanks for tonight, but I think we should give these two some space. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Patton. Logan watched Patton walk into his room and waited for his door to close before letting out a loud sigh. He ran a hand through his own hair and made his way to the back of the apartment, to his own room, ignoring the looks he received on his way. Virgil lowered the marker and looked down at Roman. That seems bad.
Nonsense. I'm sure it went great.
No. Roman. Virgil capped the marker, eyes still at the doorway. I think I'm going to go talk to him. Virgil jumped off the couch and raced down the hall, leaving Roman behind, confused, concerned, and upset he wasn't going to get revenge for the stylish curly mustache drawn on his face. Virgil knocked on the door and slowly peered in when he heard Logan on the other side. He was sat on his bed, hunched over and looking up at his door. Virgil, is there something you require help with? Without a word, he closed the door and sat on Logan's bed beside him. He turned and faced the other with a curious gaze, searching for something. Logan wasn't sure what he found, but Virgil sighed and turned anyway. Can I ask you something? Of course. Which one of us is the most powerful, you think? The question caused Logan to jump a bit in surprise. It had caught him off guard. He blinked and pushed his glasses up on his face and looked back at the door. Well, that depends, I suppose. Where did this question come from? I thought you were here for something else. I'll ask you about your date later. I want to distract you a bit first. Looks like you need it. Appreciative of that, Logan turned his attention to the question full on. Well, I suppose it matters on the definition of power that is needed. That storm cloud creature, as Patton called it. Which one of us would it attack? It went after Roman and got Patton, but which one would it actually want? Logan nodded and bit his lip. They sat in silence, each thinking over the question. Maybe we should use the buddy system. And what about Thomas? Roman uses his the most, and it's pretty handy. He keeps thinking of creative ways to use it and not hurt anyone. But he can hurt people. That's pretty powerful. Is that who it's after? Should we stop Roman from going out at night? Logan couldn't help the small laughter that escaped him, looking over at Virgil. Is that why you follow him every night from a distance? To keep him safe and pull him away in case it goes after him? Virgil turned away, blush creeping up on his face, and didn't say a word. Logan's own smile fell, and he turned away. I suppose if it knew of me, I would also be a target. You? Virgil's curiosity grew, getting the better of him. You never use your powers, though. Doesn't mean I haven't. Logan looked up and stared at his wall, eyes glazed over and lost in his thoughts. I used them a lot growing up. They kind of got the better of me at one point. I did some regretful things. I cut back, just reading minds to hold me over from using them further. I couldn't just stop using them completely after so many years. I still catch myself sometimes. I'll start to get upset, and it's like this pressure just builds up, and I don't want to let it out. Things start moving and floating, and I start to lose control over it. Then, why hold it in? What happened? Logan turned away as if he were ashamed. The date did not go as planned. You can't keep changing the subject. You're going to have to start letting some of these things out. Trust me, I know what it's like to hold things in. You're usually the one to come and tell me that things aren't as bad as they seem. You even looked up stuff to help me when you ran out of things to say. Not a lot of people would do that for someone you know. Logan smiled a bit and looked over at Virgil. Well, I suppose I could talk about it, but not tonight. Honestly, after the night I've had, I just want some rest. Was it that bad? I'm fairly certain I blew it. I don't see how Patton could go out with me a second time after all of that. Logan was surprised to see Virgil's face turn to confusion, then anger. He stood up and turned, reaching down and grabbing his arm. Let's go. You fight me on this, I'll make you regret it. He tugged, and Logan stood up, watching as Virgil opened his bedroom door and marched down the hallway. He passed every door, and they entered the living room. Logan tensed up as Virgil made their way around the table and straight for Patton's door. Now stay here. Virgil let go and knocked on the door, sending a glare back Logan's way. The door opened, and Patton stood there, smiling as bright as ever. Virgil, what can I do you for? Virgil stood up tall, trying to block Logan from his view. You seem to be in a good mood. How was the date? Instead of answering, Patton grew suspicious enough to glance around Virgil and spot Logan. Well, didn't he tell you? Virgil snorted and quickly covered his mouth, pretending to hide it with a cough. He didn't tell me much, but I assume you two have things to talk about. Virgil turned around and walked past Logan, nudging him gently to the side as he did. He didn't turn back and headed to his room, leaving the two standing there a bit confused. Sorry, Patton. I don't know what has gotten into him. Lo? Is everything all right? You seemed tense all night. I am perfectly fine, Patton, and you don't believe that for a minute, do you? Logan sighed and removed his glasses, rubbing his eyes with his other hand. Why does the fact that you being an empath always elude me in my times of distress? Patton walked up and grabbed Logan's hand. Their eyes met for a moment before Patton closed his own, taking in a nice, slow breath. Logan felt a wave of calm wash over him. His shoulders dropped a bit before Patton smirked, opening his eyes a bit. Did that help? How did you do that? Well, some people believe empaths could not only feel emotions, but share them. You all were practicing your powers, so did I. Since you all put me on bed rest because of 3. That's astonishing, Patton. Logan watched as Patton's smile grew brighter, surely feeling the amazement he himself had felt. I try not to underestimate you, and yet you always astound me. Aw, shucks. Patton's face grew a bit red with embarrassment. You're full of surprises, too. Like tonight? Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. Can we do it again sometime? Logan froze, suddenly very aware of his breathing and heartbeat, and Patton was still holding his hand in front of him. He blinked and Patton just watched him, fully aware of what he had just said. "Are you asking me out?"
Yes?
"Oh." Patton laughed and pushed Logan playfully.
Come on, that's not funny. I still feel bad about saying that.
You were half asleep, Patton. It is to be understood, I take you by surprise, and you were not aware enough to answer me properly. Despite his mood, just a few minutes before, Logan's heart was racing as he watched Patton stare at him like he had hoped he would the night before. A smile on his face, with an ever-growing blush, eyes shining and eager to just talk to him. Surely Logan owed Virgil thanks before he headed to bed for the night. He had gotten lost in the tiny things that went wrong according to his plan as he learned about Patton's favorite parts of their night. Patton didn't care the place they went to eat was packed, so they took it to go. He didn't care that Logan had made it an impromptu picnic on the damp grass in the park. He wasn't upset by the distracting musicians that played and distracted him from his food, causing him to drop it and Logan to share a bit of his own so he wouldn't starve. All those unexpected bits were Patton's favorite parts. Logan had the place to himself the next day and took full advantage of it. He spent some time out of his room and enjoying the quiet in the apartment. He didn't dislike Roman singing or Virgil's too loud music or Patton's laughter as he watched something on TV. Definitely not the last one. He's grown to learn, but the quiet was well enjoyed. The news was on once more as the background noise, as Logan cleaned up a bit, washing his dishes from lunch and thinking about the book he was going to read once his hands were dry. He stopped and placed the cup he was currently cleaning back into the soapy water, grabbing a dish towel and drying his hands as he headed into the living room, watching the news report. A rather unusual string of cases has been popping up throughout the city. Police are unsure if they were related to earlier, more severe cases of similar nature, where several people had died. There appear to be no connections to the victims. The screen changed, and a man appeared in a hospital gown, standing and talking to a reporter. "I don't really remember anything. Just that day was blacked out and I can't recall much. Doctors say it's not amnesia, but the only thing I do remember is waking up and there being all these people in an alley. One dude above me must have just done CPR or something because he looked hella relieved or whatever." Logan watched the news, flashed back to the reporter at the desk, going over symptoms to be wary of and to contact the hospital immediately. He dug in his pocket and called Roman, earning a voicemail message twice before it made it through. "I am at work. This better be important." "That guy the creature came out of the other day in the alley, what did he look like?" "What? Why is it important now?" "Because I'm fairly certain he was just on the news, and I'm afraid it isn't good." Logan ended up meeting up with Roman as he got off of work, and they reconvened at a nearby cafe. Logan was already on his second cup of coffee when Roman had made his appearance, heading straight for the other and sitting down. "What's going on, Logan?" "From what I can tell, our little friend has been busy." Logan leaned in and whispered quietly. "He's been jumping from person to person, not really staying in one host body much longer. This is the only bit of good news." Roman tensed and grit his teeth, whispering angrily. "How is not knowing the face of our enemy good news?" "It seems he digs into his host's brain the exact information. All of his earliest victims are now dead, except for the man you were able to revive in the alley. He wasn't used for very long, less than a day from the reports, but the sudden extraction is what caused him to cut it close from what I can gather." Roman leaned back and covered his face with his hands, freezing them in place for a bit. People died, unfortunately. We can't tell Virgil. Logan shook his head and looked down at his cup. He will find out eventually. Withholding this information will only upset him when he does. Roman sat up, a bit paler with the new information given to him. He'll blame himself. It's not his fault. He only froze time because I was there, trapping him as he was having a panic attack and making everything worse. Neither of you are to blame for the actions of a creature we do not understand. I hope both of you will come to terms with that and stop blaming yourselves. I am a bleeding heart, Logan. I'm sorry. I can't help but feel guilty. Roman folded his hands together, lacing his fingers. What does it want? It seems to be searching for something, if I were to guess. It wants power. It's searching for us, then. That is the most possible reason. Roman glared down at the table before standing up. I'm going to get a Virgil, and we're all going home. We need to come up with a plan and settle this. Causing him alarm will only give him another attack. We wait until he gets home, and we go over everything we know. We must be smart about this. Roman ignored Logan's words and marched out of the cafe, leaving him there alone with his thoughts. Logan looked down at his coffee, watching it carefully before getting up and throwing it away. Logan headed home quickly, moving past the door to the apartment and making it to the roof. He glanced around and imagined the day Roman and Virgil ran their first little science experiment on the roof. The day Patton made all his copies and Thomas started embracing his own abilities. He walked further onto the roof and picked up a rock, the remnant of something Roman had brought up, no doubt. His eyes slowly starting to glow, and it floated in the air, hovering as its gravity had changed its rules for the fragment. His eyes flashed a bit brighter, and the rock broke apart, turning into nothing more than dust. Carefully, it arranged itself and moved, morphing and molding until it took the shape of a perfect sphere and became solid once more, as if it had never broken apart. Logan let out a long sigh and watched it as he made it change into more shapes. Each time was as effortless as the last, until his phone rang out. He jumped and the rock dropped, shattering into dust and scattering across the roof. Logan reached into his pocket and saw Patton's name appear on the screen. Quickly answering it. Hello? Logan? I need your help. This is terrible. Patton, what's the matter? I just got a call from Thomas, but it wasn't Thomas. I guess it was one of his friends. I don't know. I was too busy to ask. Patton, deep breath, nice and slow. Then tell me what's wrong. Logan? Thomas is missing. What? He raced to the doorway of the roof, quickly making his way down the stairs. Quickly, tell me everything they said. Oh, all right. Well, they went to visit him, and his door was open, and his phone was left behind, and oh gosh, I hope he's all right. Don't worry, Patton. We will find him together. I'm sure he's okay. We must stay positive about this. I've found him once before. Twice before, actually. Patton sniffed and chuckled at his own joke. He had probably cried a bit before he had called, seeming more at ease at the moment. Logan opened the inner door and turned to enter their apartment before freezing completely. Thomas stood up, off of the ground, smiling and seeming relieved at the sight of him. Oh, thank goodness. Logan's mouth fell open and closed before he was able to speak. Patton, I found him. Wait, really? Already? He seems to be sitting outside of our apartment. Thomas brightened up a bit. Is that Patton? I wanted to call, but I kind of left my phone when I ran. I didn't worry him, did I? Patton, give me just one moment. Logan pulled the phone away and placed it on his chest, muffling the noise. Some friends had entered your home and saw you missing and saw you missing with your front door ajar. In their distressed state, they called Patton in hopes of finding you. Oh, Joan and Talon, I completely forgot. They're gonna kill me. Thomas started to pace. If it left when they got there, then that's good, but it's still not safe, right? What isn't safe, Thomas? Who was at your home? Thomas made a motion with his hands of something coming out of his mouth. I don't know who it was, but I know what was inside. The smoke was coming out of the mouth. It knows where you live? It found me, yeah. Logan stayed silent before pulling the phone back to his face. Patton, come home immediately. Keep away from all strangers the best you can, and make sure you're not followed.
What's going on?
I'm calling a family emergency. The creature found Thomas, and he ran here. Logan said his quick goodbyes before calling Roman and giving the same message. He had made it to Virgil's workplace and was just about to leave when Logan called. Logan told them to be careful and for them to walk and not use Virgil's abilities to get home quicker. He pocketed his phone and watched Thomas closely, eyes flashing a bit and causing Thomas to tense up. Sorry, I just wanted to be sure. Logan muttered before unlocking his door. What? That it wasn't in me? Oh, goodness gracious, I don't blame you, I guess. Thomas shivered, rubbing his hands down his arms. The thing gives me the creeps. Logan offered Thomas a seat and sat down in his chair, leaning forward and watching him closely. Thomas, I'm afraid there's one thing we must discuss before the others get here. Yeah? Thomas leaned back a bit cautiously. What's that? I fear it might come down to this, so I need you to be sure you're ready. Ready for what? Logan held out his hand. You must learn how my abilities work, and I'm going to train you how to use them. We have some time before the others get here. Is that why you made Virgil not use his powers? I fear I may need to use my abilities if it comes down to it. Logan looked down at his hand, still stretched out between them. The more I learned of my abilities, the stronger they seemed to have grown. I was foolish to make a mistake years ago. I want you to learn a bit in the hopes that, in case one of us becomes incapacitated, the other will be able to take over. As long as the creature doesn't know what you can do, you should be safe. Thomas nodded and scooted over, reaching his hand out. Are you sure? Logan nodded, looking into Thomas's eyes. Just follow my instructions, to the letter, and I promise all will be well. Do you trust me? What? I asked if you trust me. Oh, no, sorry, I heard you. Thomas chuckled to himself. You were just quoting Aladdin without realizing it, and it caught me off guard. Thomas reached out and grabbed Logan's hand. Let's get this started. Thank you so much for listening. There's only a few chapters left, so if you want to be notified when they upload in the next couple days, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can know immediately when they come out. You know, listen to the story, have some good vibes, break from the holidays, all that cool jazz. With that being said, thank you so much for listening, and much like Logan trying to comprehend his date, do your best.